Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from my father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. My name is Nick, a.k.a. Goody, and with me is my old man, a.k.a. the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin. I definitely muted the Garden crowd as opposed to turn the volume all the way up like I meant to. So we'll just do this. We'll give it to you anyway. We'll give it to you anyway. Speaking of the Garden crowd, they were in an absolute frenzy on Friday when the Knicks closed out the Celtics in 6 games. They get to the Eastern Conference for the first time in 25 years. Big guy, how about those Knicks?
Like you said, the crowd was fantastic. Listening to that crowd and just looking at that atmosphere, it did remind me a lot of all the years and games I spent there in the 90s as a season ticket holder through those great Knicks playoff, unfortunately not championship years.
Quick question, because I know that you were at the game where they went to the finals in 94? I know you were at that game where Starks misses the layup and Patrick puts it down. Were you there in 99 when they clinched to get to the Eastern Conference finals or to the finals?
I want to say yes, because I had the season tickets. But, you know, Nick, for whatever reason, and I was just thinking about that this week, I have a lesser memory of that 99 run in the Garden than I do the 94, run. That, I don't know, sticks out in my mind more. That 94 run was just, and now I remember, now that like that LJ game, I wasn't there.
You were in Indiana at a funeral.
I was in Indiana. Right. So I know I wasn't there then.
I remember that clearly.
Right. But, so I don't know why the 94 run sticks out in my mind. Anyway, this year, this game the other night was just fantastic. I mean, the crowd was great. The team was great. We'll go over it, I'm sure, in minutia, but just the everything that went on with that and all the different Celtics fans that I've seen, just all the things that they said leading up to it, just how they knew they were going to win, some different Paul Pierce sightings. It's hysterical. It's just great. It's given me a lot of pleasure the last few days.
Yeah, I mean, as you and I talked about when we saw each other yesterday, I mean, I'm literally running out of Knicks, media to be able to consume. This morning, again, I was still out there on the internet searching for more because, Knicks fans, we deserve to bask in this a little bit right now. And I know there's a lot of people, especially Boston fans, talking about how we're throwing a parade after, the getting out of the second round. And I really don't care how other fan bases feel. I have a couple good friends who are really big Boston fans. They both were congratulatory to me and didn't, make it about the injuries or try to take anything away. I don't care what anybody has to say. The Knicks have not been here in 25 years. The Knicks had years where they had absolutely no hope. Everybody that is a Knicks fan is out there, mentioning all these different names of all these different times and all these players that we had to deal with, all these times that we had to try to get ourselves hype over, what these particular, guys might be able to do. Guys like a Cleanthony early. And one thing that I gotta throw out there, man, is and this is courtesy of Tommy Beer. He's probably honestly maybe my favorite follow on Twitter, just as far as the Knicks, takes and notes that he gives on a consistent basis. It's just like, if you want to stay on top of things and also like understand a historical perception as well, Tommy Beer is the guy. Knicks before Jalen Brunson, 8 playoff wins in 20 years. Knicks with Jalen Brunson, 21 playoff wins in 3 years. There is a lot of people to break down, and there's a lot of people to, talk about what happened with them specifically in Game 6. Jalen Brunson really came out with a mindset that he wanted to get guys involved, even if the assist numbers didn't necessarily reflect that. And I think that it's only appropriate that we start off with just talking about not just the Game 6 performance, but just what this guy has meant to this organization. And he literally took us not from the darkest days, because Julius took us from the darkest days, and we actually did, start to build a little bit of momentum. But now having this guy as the leader, as the captain, has taken this entire organization to a totally different level.
Without a doubt. I mean, he's a consummate leader right now in the NBA. Honestly, who would you prefer? I'm not just talking about talent. I'm talking about all around, everything, the full package. Who would you prefer in the NBA right now to be the leader of your team?
Clearly, I'm biased, but give me JB, man. I mean,
Seriously, who's second? I'm trying to think of who's a close second.
Joker.
All right.
Joker.
No, Joker. Joker is not as great a leader of your team, Nick, because he's a reluctant leader. Number one. Number two, he's not as charismatic as Brunson. Not even close.
I think that you're.
I'm just talking about everything, Nick. I'm not talking about just as a player on the.
I don't. Is Brunson so charismatic?
I'm talking about a guy out in front of the camera, talking to people, talking to the public.
I call Brunson a lot of things. I wouldn't call him charismatic.
No, he's not charismatic, but he's incredibly likable. He's not charismatic. He's not a great speaker or anything. He's incredibly likable. Joker, and part of it, this is not his fault, is he's not American. I mean, so what's his name? Brunson's incredibly more likable as an NBA player because he's American, homegrown American. Okay. And I just feel like, okay, so if not Joker, then who? And I don't think Joker's that close a second, frankly, as far as just
like a guy like Anthony
your franchise.
A guy like Anthony
Edwards is great, but I don't want him leading my franchise.
But he's not a great guy.
Yeah. He's not a great guy, Nick. He's a bit of anything could happen with that guy, Nick. I mean, seriously. There's a lot worse that could happen with that guy than I think could happen with Brunson.
Oh,
okay.
Clearly,
you know what I mean?
Clearly. Yeah. So Brunson's a much more model citizen for sure.
You will bet long term on Brunson much more than you will on anybody else right now to be your leader. And on top of that, he's just so fantastic on the court. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, he showed in the first 4 games of this season that he's a better player than Jason Tatum. So that's that, there goes that argument right there. I mean, at the end of the day, no one can watch that series and come away from it and say that Jason Tatum is a better player than Brunson. I know people try to doubt this guy because of his size, but I mean, we just saw him outplay him and outduel him down the stretch of these games.
Jason Tatum is a better talent. He's not a better player. He's just a better talent in that his physical gifts are so much greater. I mean, and to be able to do what he does at his size and everything makes him a better talent. Now, if he had the will, Brunson just has intangibles that are impossible to quantify, frankly, or impossible to see right in front of you like a math equation, but they happen. They happen so consistently that this is real. This is not just happenstance and he just did this one day. He does this over and over and over again. Right. And it's real, and it's, man, it's paying dividends, man. Now, listen, you see, I think it's tough. I think we do need to realize and recognize that he is human. And man, this guy's being built up to such a high level now, but he doesn't disappoint, Nick. He almost never disappoints.
Never twice in a row, that's for sure.
Never twice in a row. I mean,
never twice in a row.
Wow. I'm scared of that. Honestly, I'm scared of that. And that's just me.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. If I'm scared, get a different shepherd.
JB's got you. JB's got you. I think the thing about it is with Brunson, the thing that takes him to a different level is that his skill set translates to late game situations, and especially in playoff games in the fourth quarter. What he does best are the things that you need most, which is somebody who can create a shot out of nothing, who is a 3-level scorer and specifically thrives in the mid-range. I think, like I've said to you before many times, Mikal Bridges, to a lesser extent, is another weapon that we have that translates well to end of game situations. And Brunson, like you said, as far as the leadership part, he to me he's not a rah-rah guy. He's not he's always talking to guys, but he's not going to, scream at guys on the sidelines or anything like that. That's definitely not his style. But his lead by example, and I'm sure behind closed doors, the way he talks to these guys, you can see that everyone is taking on his personality. And I've always had this theory of coach, best player, and that becomes the personality of the entire team. And with Tibbs and Brunson, you have two people who as they always say, the joy is in the work. They both are somewhat stoic to a certain extent. They both have this never die, never give up, we're never out of it attitude. And clearly this entire team feels that way. There's not that many teams. Look at Boston in game 6. When the Knicks were down in those first 2 games, really the first 3 games, the Knicks never let go of the rope. They continued to play. They continued to play like they still had a chance. Boston, I think, about mid-second quarter of this game was like, we ain't got it. They just totally gave up. And, that's one of the things that, this city represents and this fan base represents, and being able to have those guys at the helm. It's just, you got to take a second. I'm glad that we got a nice break in between these 2 series, so I could just take a second and be appreciative for a few days before I turn the page and start worrying about the Pacers.
Yeah, no, we've spoken about that, and I'm a Tibbs guy, and I think that the way he coaches and everything, and we'll talk more about the X's and O's and on the court, but just his manner definitely meshes with Brunson. And Brunson has said as much. He loves the way Tibbs coaches, his manner, his stoicism, and just consistently, just stay with work, trust it. And that's what they've done, man. And, it works down the stretch. At least it did against these past 2 teams. Okay. We were less prone to silly mistakes down the stretch than these other 2 teams in tight games. That's just a fact, and there were times this season, Nick, where we were critical of the team not doing what was necessary down the stretch. I mean, I do feel like there's certain. I almost feel like there's certain things they're doing now that they didn't do all season. Honestly, out of bounds plays.
Right. There's certain things that I'm watching that I think to myself, like, is Tibbs rope-a-doping? Is Tibbs rope-a-doping right now? Like, is he did he seriously say, like, listen, we're gonna play the Celtics and we're gonna never switch the whole season, and then all of a sudden we're gonna start switching on them, and it's really I don't. That would be a question that I would love to get in.
I'll tell you with this guy, it's chess, not checkers, man. I'm telling you, I don't understand this. I don't understand. There's sometimes shit we don't understand.
So you do believe that he was definitely
I think I don't know if it's that. But I think there are things that he's got that 3D chess shit that we don't get, Nick. We don't know basketball like this guy does or his guys do, and there's some shit we just don't get. And when we say I don't understand why they're doing this, yeah, that's exactly it. We don't understand, and I accept that because I think he's a good coach. Now, when I don't say I accept that with every coach, and there's some coaches I think suck, so I don't accept that with them and think they're idiots and they're making a mistake. Why don't they do this? But with Tibbs, man, it's gotten to the point now where I'm just like, you know what, man, I just got to accept it. I'm starting to feel that way with Mendy too, but we'll get there.
So you think you know less about ball than Daisuke Yoshimoto?
No. I didn't say Daisuke. Although who knows, man? Who knows? But no, that doesn't mean everyone on the staff. I'm saying the collective of what he gets from his staff, and he brings it to light. It would seem that his number 1 assistant now is Rick Brunson, right?
Yeah, he definitely is. He's the head assistant.
Do you think Rick Brunson gets a head coaching job at some point?
No, I don't think anybody's beating down the door to get Rick Brunson. You know what I mean?
I don't think anybody's like, either, but we got to get Rick
Brunson. But
listen, man, if this team consistently competes at these levels and he's the number 1 guy, he's going to get a look sooner or later. Okay, I agree with that. But I mean, like Rick Brunson, you leaving? Right. That's the thing, Nick. That's what I'm saying. What if he gets offered a head coaching job?
You want to be a head coach that much? I mean,
and leave his son and Tibbs?
As somebody who
I don't think so.
Who aspires to be the future Rick Brunson and just be able to ride my son's coattails to be able to be some sort of coach somewhere someday.
Rick Brunson, T. Morant.
No. I want the Brunson. I want Brunson. I want my kid. My kid's gonna be Brunson that nice. Model. That in like high school, I'm gonna be like, yo, I need to be some sort of like special assistant, and then in college, I'm gonna be like, yo, if you want him to come here, that's just part of the deal. Maybe we can take that to the NBA as well. Who knows? But man, I just don't see him wanting to be a head coach more than he wants to be Jalen's coach. I don't see that. I really don't. but we'll see. Who knows? You never know. I mean, these guys got aspirations.
He's what? He's what, a 50-something-year-old man? I mean, he's got aspirations, Nick. I mean,
he's got aspirations, but Dad also realized that he missed a lot of this boy growing up.
Well, and true. And this is the other thing, Nick. He's also in prime positions. Tibbs is how old? 72? 70?
Yeah.
When Tibbs is done, come on.
Stay there for the next 8 years if
they win a championship, he might almost say, "Yo, you got to write this into my contract somehow." That I'm the next guy. I'm next up. No, I'm just kidding. But
I don't know about that leverage. I mean, listen, he's the assistant head coach. He's the top one. Johnny Bryant left. He stepped into that position. I think it absolutely seems that way. And maybe
wait. There's been no Johnny Bryant sightings or anything you heard about.
What do you mean sightings?
Bryant, any Johnny Bryant words?
I like Johnny Bryant. I'm a Johnny Bryant fan.
Where's Johnny Bryant?
That's
right. He's in Cancun. Sorry.
Yeah, but maybe he needs to become the head coach over there, Kenny Atkinson.
Now Kenny Atkinson is out. He's been there for 1 or 2 years.
I said maybe. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I got that. Listen. I think that when it comes down to these playoffs, what it always comes down to is the injuries and the timing. Like, that's always huge. And when Cleveland gets a couple injuries in that first round, and then even Donovan's not quite looking himself, I think that hurts them, just like it hurt the Knicks last year.
You just poo-pooed the injuries with the Celtics.
I did not poo-poo
anything.
Don't
bring up injuries.
No. See, stop.
Kenny Atkinson did a very good job.
Stop mischaracterizing what I said. What I said when it came to the Celtics was the fact that the Knicks winning that series is not something that you can point to it and say that was about the injuries, because they were up 3-1 with Jason Tatum there. Okay. And then the Celtics won one of their 2 games that they won without Jason Tatum. So I don't think that that Cleveland series, I do think that was greatly affected by injuries. I'm not saying like that Indiana doesn't deserve it, or I'm just calling it for what it is. That affected that series quite a bit.
Well, yeah, it did, but I don't know, man. There's something else to it, insofar as I'm not saying Cleveland should have won anyway without. I mean, who are they missing? Brad. What's this guy's name? Brad Miller.
Brad Miller. Brad Miller was a center for the Sacramento Kings back in the day. One of them cats used to go up against Shaq all the time.
Right. I knew that name.
No, they were missing Okoro.
Okay, come on.
What do you mean?
Okoro's really good, Nick, but
good.
Come on, we're not losing the series because we don't have Okoro. You still got Donovan Mitchell. This guy came back. The other guard, Garland, came back.
The Knicks play 7 players. If anybody got hurt on the Knicks, we'd be in a serious problem. We would have a serious problem. But Evan Mobley was hurt.
That's the guy I'm talking about. Now, Evan Mobley's a big part of their team. Yeah, I get it.
He's a big part of their team. He's a good defender.
Incredibly tall. He wasn't he Defensive Player of the Year?
I think so. Yeah, he won that this year.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's a huge part of their team. So yeah, that really hurt them.
DeAndre Hunter missed a game, and then when he came back,
and they just got this guy. Nick. I mean, listen, you got to be good, and you got to be lucky too.
Yep.
So I'm hoping the Knicks stay good and stay lucky.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah. Nobody cried for us last year when we lost to the Pacers.
Nobody's crying for anybody about anything.
Exactly. At the end of the day, you gotta have that roll of the dice, but you gotta have a hot hand too. And I'm hoping that let's put the Indiana series off. Let's give Game 6 a little bit more love. Knicks got a very balanced performance. They got 20 points from 4 different players. In addition to that, the other starter, Josh Hart, he had a triple double. Deuce comes off the bench and gets you 10. Mitch is all over the place, guarding every single player on a single possession, coming up with multiple hustle, just momentum, getting the crowd hype. It was a masterful performance by this team. The Knicks, the game was tied at 16-16, and then Knicks went up 18-16 and never looked back. I just thought that from the very beginning, I don't know if it was the players only meeting. I don't know if it was, sitting down and watching the tape from last game and being embarrassed, but I'm hoping that this Knicks team, a Knicks team that has been up and down all season long, that has had a Jekyll and Hyde persona throughout this 24-25 season. I am just hoping that they found something in that time between games 5 and game 6 they can now consistently look to and a standard that they can hold themselves to, because as we've seen all season, when this team is playing well, when they're doing their thing, they look great. But there's other times where they're almost unrecognizable, and I don't think we have the margin of error in this Pacers series to have not just games like that, but even like quarters like that. We have to figure out a way to be able to keep our foot on the gas for 48 minutes 4 times.
Listen, after game 4, where we went up 3-1, I was brimming. That's when I went on a shopping spree. That's when I got excited on Amazon with Knicks gear, as evidence. But I was all pumped up. I was all pumped up. I was out of my mind. But then after game 5, Nick, I was sitting here cursing. I was so annoyed, and I'm saying to myself, I mean, like, this is why you can't bank on this team like going all the way. This is why I'm not sure that I don't feel very totally confident that they could win the ECF, Eastern Conference Finals. I was feeling so negative. And then, of course, after Friday night, I'm all hyped up again. So right now we're hoping beyond hope that they can bottle that and bring that out consistently throughout these next 2 series, over these next 8 wins, hopefully, right? So, it's so concerning. I mean, I don't know, Nick. The fact of the matter is, every team, every fan base right now is hoping that whoever their team is, they can come out with this much more consistent play. We're not alone. There's no team right now that feels like they're going to just steamroll through to the championship, and they've played such great, consistent ball.
I think the Knicks are somewhat unique in how up and down they can be.
Think about if you're an Indiana fan, Nick. They've had some games in this playoffs that they've looked like shit.
Sure.
But then again, they handled Cleveland pretty well, right?
Right.
So they could feel a little more confident. But listen, let's be honest. Pacers fans are not like overly confident. I don't believe that. They believe that. We're just so strong. None of the guys out west feel that way right now.
I actually am pretty confident, honestly, to tell you the truth. But it's just that I'm confident that I think that we can win. I'm confident that if the Knicks team shows up playing the way that I know they're capable of, if they do that, I think that they win. I think that they win the championship, honestly, and I definitely think that they win this series, and I think somewhat easily. But
everybody feels that way, Nick.
I don't know.
Every fan base feels like
I think some teams
that looks great. Our team, when they look great, shows up, we can win this all.
I think Indiana could play their best and we could beat them. I think our best is better than their best. But I think that Indiana probably plays closer to their best on a more consistent level than we do.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think many teams have as much variance as the Knicks do. I mean, Dad, in that game 5, they looked like I made this analogy as far as on Nic On Knicks, and as far as like when you are playing pickup with 4 people that you don't know, you're just like, all right, guys, I got him. Oh, he's a shooter. Get out on him. And the Knicks seemed like they didn't understand that simple concept of basketball in game 5. I mean, the way that they were letting this guy, Derek White, just walk into wide open threes, the way that they were not like understanding, are we going to switch right here? Are we not going to switch? And like kind of pointing at each other, like what's going on? And that's something that I've seen. It's been my biggest criticism of this team all season long. But then they go and they have a film session and they figure it out. And that's just, that's a crazy variance to go from one game to the next.
They have a film session and they get upset with themselves for the effort and for the way they play. And they know that. And Nick, I think it's just human nature that people don't play at a consistent effort and intensity level all the time. They just don't. And I think every team does that. Okay. I think every team does that.
Okay.
We just don't watch other teams like we do the Knicks.
And have all season.
We're Knicks fans.
Yeah. I hope you're right. We'll see. But I hope that I just hope that the Knicks reach their potential, man, because we see what their
Yes.
potential can be. And I've seen both this team and this coach both evolve during this playoffs. And I think that they've both made adjustments. The coaching staff and the actual players have made adjustments throughout this entire playoffs. And one of the biggest people that we saw make a huge adjustment in game 6 as opposed to game 5 was Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns came out there, and in my opinion, he was the thing that got us started. He was the thing that sustained us in the first quarter when, things were going back and forth. He was the consistent thing that we kept being able to go to while we were going 1 of 10 from 3. And that one was his make, by the way. And I thought defensively, rebounds, but his just demanding of the ball. And then again, give love to the coaching staff. We clearly were running more action to get JB off the ball, to get Cat the ball, and to get and to get Bridges the ball out in sets where he had a chance to be able to, dribble and get downhill and get to that mid-range area. And, the players were, as Josh Hart said, in between games 5 and 6, they were making more of an emphasis to make sure that they got Cat involved. I just thought that was excellent. And, that's the guy we need to see. And I definitely foresee a big series for him going up against Indiana and Miles Turner. Big guy, get your mic a little bit closer to you, big guy. It's moving.
I agree.
There we go.
I agree. I think that Cat, we're gonna have to be more consistent with getting him the ball early. Not one because our team runs better with it, but when you get him involved like that early and involved properly, it keeps him aggressive throughout the game. I think one of my criticisms of Cat has been at times he lets himself just fade away like into the background. And I think that's partially his fault. But as you said, if we get him involved more early, he becomes more aggressive in wanting the ball, and subsequently we get him the ball. It kind of works hand in fist. So I think that was a great game plan by everyone involved, and it pays incredible dividends. He can be a dynamic player. We have to use him properly, and we have to use him a lot. I think the whole thing about getting these other guys involved early is even more important because the thing with Brunson is early in the games, especially if he's off the ball, if the play breaks down, the ball's going to find its way to him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
If the play breaks down, just get him the ball anyway. And that's what usually happens. If it doesn't break down and it's going successfully, then that's why you can leave him off the ball kind of, or maybe he can just pass it, So I think that works out well too.
I thought the mindset of this team coming into this game was about as good as we've seen all season long. I mean, I'm talking about game plan wise. I'm talking about intensity wise. Don't forget the Knicks started off, like I said, 1 for 10 from 3 in that game. So it's not like we came out and just shot the lights out. No, we came out and we played a certain way. And I mean, especially on the defense, this is the defense that we know this team can play. You hold this Boston team to 81 points in an elimination game. That's just a fantastic effort across the board. Mm-hmm. Josh Hart with the triple-double. I thought Josh Hart's intensity at the beginning, I thought his distributing, his being aggressive on the pick and roll, he was really leading and starting a lot of the actions with Brunson off the ball. And then when Brunson did have the ball, he would have like the double option where he would have like Cat to one side and then he would have Josh Hart to one side. And a lot of times he was taking that pick and roll and going to Josh Hart's side using his pick, but Josh Hart wasn't just standing there going behind the 3-point line. He was also cutting to the basket as well and making them scramble a little bit. And then that's how we end up with guys getting more wide open shots, even though we weren't able to knock them down early. And when it comes to knocking down wide open shots, Josh Hart recently has been doing exactly that. One of the most frustrating things about game 5 was you got 5 threes from Josh Hart. And Mitchell Robinson going 6 for 6 from the free throw line, and we still figure out a way to get blown out in that game. Josh Hart then in game 6, he was 1 of 3 from 3. He the one that he hit was like a momentum, like we were still kind of building the lead, and it was a big shot for him. And if he's shooting his 3, he becomes a super elite player, super elite, if he's able to space the floor with hitting threes. But his full floor game, his defense, his warrior mentality, his being able to keep Jaylen Brown's hands off his dick, I thought he just did a fantastic job in game 6.
You know, somebody I heard where somebody was saying that Jalen Brown's out here playing Diddy ball.
Diddy ball.
Oh, I thought that was a great phrase. That had me rolling for a while. He's out here playing Diddy ball. Oh my gosh, that was just. I don't. You know, I would love for somebody to ask him, hey, what happened right there?
I want to know what happened.
Have it on video and have him sitting side by side with him and say, what happened right here? I mean, just explain it to me so I understand, because what I'm seeing, I'm not sure if I fully understand.
And what happens in like pregame, like when I'm, we're out here, we're getting shoot arounds. If I'm Josh Hart, I'm walking over to midcourt and being like, hey, yo, my man, what, you saw the video, right? What the fuck are you trying to do out here? Like, what is this? We're grabbing dicks now? Come on, man. I mean,
and that's not even, Nick, to be very honest, that's not even a gay thing. That's just, it's not a thing. It's what are you doing? If you're gay, that wouldn't be a way you'd come on to another guy at a game. I don't think during a game.
According to some of my gay friends, it is that it can't be that blatant sometimes. But listen, you don't come on to anybody like that
during an NBA game. Okay,
no. Listen, I don't think that he was in some way like trying to like holla at Josh Hart in some way.
Exactly. So what is it then?
I think that I honestly think that he was just trying to get under his skin, like
so what? I guess giving somebody a wet willy is out of the question. You're going to do this instead. What are you, out of your mind? That's insane.
It was wild. It was very flagrant activity. And the crazy part is that because they started shoving right after that, they then went to the tape and they rewatched that whole thing and said, double text, let's move on. I don't understand
what the refs are not going to stop there, and they can say, because of the inappropriate sexual activity, we're going to give him a flagrant.
No,
it's like it didn't happen.
It's contact with the contact in that area is considered like a hostile. Draymond's gotten in trouble for shit like that before.
Oh, Draymond's a serial offender.
He's a serial offender. Listen, we're at it. We got Jaylen Brown at the Diddy parties, pictures, enjoying himself, having a good time, in very close proximity to Diddy. Now we have the dick grab. How many? What more do we need to make? How many more
snatch?
How many more? How many more? Like egregious acts before he becomes a serial offender.
Yeah, he's going up the charts with a bullet.
Man, that shit was crazy. But give Josh Hart some love, man. I know that you're a guy.
I would like to see. I didn't see this, Nick. Did you see? I would like to know. Did Josh Hart dab him up after the series and give him the hug like on the line?
I bet he did that. I bet he did.
I bet he did, but I just to know.
You know why I bet he did? Because if he hadn't, that's what we would have heard about.
That would be news. That would be news.
That's what we would have heard about. But you're a guy who, listen, I got to give you credit. Even sometimes when I am just at my wit's end with Josh Hart's lack of shooting or even willingness to shoot, you're the one who always says the famous line, he has to be on the court because he does so many things. Give your boy Josh Hart a little bit of love for his performance in Game 6.
I mean, listen, man, he does it all, Nick. He does it all. He does things that other people are just not going to do. He does things that nobody really sees or speaks about, doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but you need it, man. And I'm sure that like the coaches who study these games over and over and over and over must see some things sometimes where they just like put a clicker and put a spotlight on him. And they just must be amazed sometimes, because when I just do that randomly, sometimes I'm amazed, and watching him run around the court and get some things done that it's like, well, what the fuck is this guy doing? Now, like I always say, there's going to be a couple times a game where he does something incredibly stupid and you're going to lose your mind. But more often than not, he's going to do things that are very, very, very beneficial to the team. He clearly doesn't give a shit about personal stats or anything like that. He just tries to play through everything.
He gets most hype for other people. There was one point in the game where he got an offensive rebound and he kicked it out to OG, and OG hit the three. And you could just see Josh was he understood like that, like, because I think we got 2 offensive rebounds in that same possession. So he understood like this was kind of a backbreaker, and he kicked it out to OG. And as OG was shooting, he put his hand up and OG hit it. And just, I mean, yeah, man, he's you can't say enough about Josh Hart and what he gives to this team. The offensive rebounding, the assists, the heart, just the heart that he plays with. I mean, he plays.
Who on the team could be a great coach someday? I'd say Brunson.
No, I don't see Brunson being a coach.
Nah, it's too cool, too calm. Maybe Josh Hart, though.
Maybe Josh Hart. Maybe maybe
not
Bridges.
OG.
Oh, definitely not OG.
Did you say Bridges?
Yeah, maybe Bridges.
Bridges maybe. I like the clipboard type.
He's a cerebral guy. He's like he seems like a guy who thinks the game, attention to I don't know. I don't really see a lot of coaches. Listen, the coach, the guy who's going to be a great coach on this team is somebody who's buried on the bench, because that's typically who the guys who become great coaches.
Yeah. Well, it's not campaign.
Fuck no, he's not going to be a coach at all.
He might be a dance master.
He'd be like the Mike D'Antoni of like he just fucking chuck that shit, send it, shoot it.
turn to the side and put it up.
Slingshot.
Slingshot.
Nah, definitely not campaign. I don't know. I really don't see a PJ Tucker.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
PJ Tucker.
He's been helpful. Yeah, he's been
DeLon Wright. DeLon Wright's a cat who could be. He's going to be an assistant coach in like 3 years.
Nick, I think you just like saying this guy's name. You have no idea what this guy's about, and you're screaming his name.
Stop
it with DeLon Wright, man.
When Deuce was hurt and Brunson was hurt,
he's a nobody. He won't be on the team next year.
He gave us some good minutes. He's long. He plays defense, and he can shoot a three. Listen.
Pause.
I like DeLon Wright.
Okay.
Pause. Yeah, you used it right too. That was good. What's up with OG, man? OG goes to 1 of 12 in game 5. As we know, the Knicks are now 14-0 when OG and gets at least 14 field goal attempts in a playoff game. And he comes out in game 6, smothering defense, 2 blocks in the second quarter that were just, excellent blocks. One where he's on Jaylen Brown coming over to help, and then the other one, was it on Derek White? I want to say yes.
Yeah.
But I saw a breakdown earlier of this one particular play where they're coming down in transition, and Brunson is yelling at OG, but OG already sees it like, hey, I don't need help over here. Watch Derek White trailing. We got to make sure that we, are getting out on that. And exactly that type of attention to detail is the thing that we seem to lack sometimes, and it's so maddening. But his defense on Derek White and just in general was excellent. And then he goes 7 of 18 from the floor, 4 of 13 from 3. Not a great percentage overall, but we'll take it, 30%. 5 of 5 from the line. He gives you 8 rebounds. 9 rebounds. I thought that him and Bridges, I even thought Bridges in game 5, I saw this. We're both doing a very good job of fighting for those long rebounds, especially off all those Celtics threes. And then OG gives you 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, plus 23. I'm saying 23 points and a plus 26 for the night. OG was fantastic.
There's just times, Nick, where, those guys, they set the tone. They play different than other times, when they're just out there playing really, really aggressive and annoying defense, where they're making every pass and every play for the opposing team difficult. And there are times when they don't do that, Nick. When they don't do that, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We need them to do that consistently, and that makes us an eminently better team. Because if they do that, listen, Josh Hart's going to do that, but he's going to do it to a much higher level if OG and Bridges are out there. Now, I think maybe they're more inclined to do that when Mitch is on the floor. To be a little more upfront when Mitch is on the floor. I think, there's a good chance, Nick, that we see more Mitch than ever in this series coming up, because he's going to, he's really starting to show his worth out there. He's really rounded into shape since coming back this year. And he's really, I think, ready to contribute at a very high level now, obviously. So, I think that makes a difference with our entire defense,
Mitchell Robinson was absolutely excellent in this game. It's a real game that shows you where
the series.
Yeah. Throughout the entire series, he was excellent. Joe Mazzulla was doing everything to get him off the court, and now he's 7 of his last 8 from the free throw line. So maybe the Hakamich
will be interesting to see how Rick Carlisle tries to handle this. Is he going
to
go Mazzulla?
I think
I don't know.
Carlisle's a little more old school, man. I don't think he'll try it as much. And also, I think that, hey, I mean, like I said, he is 7 of his last 8. So, I mean, he can shoot you out of that really quickly if he's hitting them. And you know that he's practicing them all the time. He's getting a little bit more arc. He's getting a little bit more arc on it. It's starting to drop. And, the Garden crowd was going crazy for him when he hit that one free throw. It was like, but listen, Mitch, that's the biggest trade deadline acquisition that any team had. And it was just him coming back from injury. And him being able to be in the lineup has been extremely vital for this team. He had the highest plus minus for any Nick in this entire series. And, the other coach said as much, basically just trying to get him off of the floor. What he does as far as the offensive rebounding, his ability to keep plays alive and get offensive rebounds that when the ball comes off the rim and you see where he is and where his man is, you don't think there's any chance that he could actually get that offensive rebound.
It's his rebound.
It's his rebound, He gets that thing, he pushes it out, and I'm hoping that we start seeing a few more lobs to him. The cat, him, high-low, I think especially against this Indiana team could be something that could be real vital. And, we know Cat is good at that. We saw Cat do that with Gobert. We know that Cat is a skilled and excellent passer. So I think that aspect of the team has even more chance to grow. And, you just gotta be happy for Mitch that he's able to step up and be this and play like this in this, this big of a stage after all the injury stuff that he's dealt with. And Mitchell Robinson is a player that benefits so much from playing for the Knicks. Other fan bases would not value him as much as the Knicks do. When you rewatch that play where he goes around and he guards like everybody on the floor and then ends up bottling up Jaylen Brown in the corner and coming up with the turnover, the Knicks fans are starting to cheer at his rotations. They're cheering his rotations in that play. Not every fan base is on top of it and gets it like that. And the Knicks, I don't care if you're standing up at the top with your back on the wall in the high 300s, or you're Timothy Chalamet or Ben Stiller or Busta Rhymes or one of these famous people down low. They're all there. They're all legitimate basketball fans. They know what they're seeing. And I felt like that team got to embrace them in a way that was so joyous. And so because they were, basically in control the entire game, there was this lack of nervous energy. And they got to really just have the Garden crowd fuel them in all the best and all the positive ways. And especially with us having home court advantage in this next series, that I think is another massive factor and could really play in our favor.
Yeah. And listen, the back to the Mitch thing. Mitch is the kind of player that a lot of the team and a lot of fan bases wouldn't appreciate as much, like you said, Nick, because they would look at like his scoring and be like, this guy can't shoot, he can't score, he can't do this. We all know better. We know that we don't give a shit about that. We don't need that from Mitch. The other things that he does pays much more dividends than that, and we got other people for that to do that. And as far as the fans and just the crowd, the fans there this Wednesday is going to be amazing. It's going to be something special. The crowd is really embracing this team. This team, although you can't say it's all grown from draft picks, because it's not, there is something organic about this team and the growth of this team. And although we brought in Cat this year as the latest guy, it's not like Cat was brought in to be the savior. It's not like Cat was brought in like how Carmelo was brought in, like to be the guy. Even Brunson, when he was brought in, he was not brought in to be the guy necessarily, because
when Melo came here, Stat was in the midst of having a great season.
Right. But Melo was Melo. But Melo was Melo, and Melo was, you knew Melo was going to be, Stat was having a great year, yes. But Melo, you expected big things from him. We got big things from him. I never fault Melo. Frankly, after Stat got hurt,
who's the better Nick? Carmelo Anthony or Jalen Brunson?
Oh, it's Brunson now. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I've seen some people asking that, and to me, I'm like, this
it's not even close.
Yeah, what are we talking
about? Not even close now. Now I've heard some people say Brunson greatest Nick ever. Take it easy on that. Let's slow down.
Yeah, take it easy.
Because I think Patrick Ewing's still probably better. And Clyde. You guys won
even Willis Reed.
Come on.
Maybe even
Willis Reed, because he's won as much as he has. But
Bernard King didn't have the playoff performances.
Well, Bernard King was a great performer and all that, but
But
you know,
he just
this
didn't have the
guy,
playoff, iconic playoff moments specifically.
yeah, and beyond just playoffs, I mean, just performances in general. The amount of performances Brunson has put together playing for the Knicks in what, 4 years?
Yeah.
It's equaling people who played for the Knicks for over 10 years, Nick. I mean, come on. If he continues like this, he's going to be so far and away ahead of everyone else. It's not even going to be close.
We got that's the thing is with the Brunson thing. It's been so prolific that it's not even just on a Knicks conversation anymore when it comes to the playoff. It's like him, Jordan, and Kobe. It's like lists where it's like in the playoffs, the players that have done this are him, Jordan, and Kobe.
Oh yeah.
And it's not just average.
Fourth quarter scoring.
It's quantities. It's quantity. It's not just like, oh, average. So he's done it in a short amount of time. It's quantity, like the amount of who started a playoffs with this many games with this stat and this stat.
Right.
And he's up there.
10 games in a playoffs, in a season's playoffs. How many games how many points in the fourth quarter, or points or whatever.
Right. And he leads them all.
He leads them all. I mean, like you said, Nick, he's on those lists with Jordan and Kobe. That's it.
Right.
It's incredible.
Come on, man.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. And it's just a breath of fresh air to have that guy be our guy. And as you and I,
be a great guy, want to be our guy.
Great guy, want to be our guy, plays a style of basketball that I find aesthetically pleasing and that I think is the type of basketball that, wins you series and wins you championships. And for the first time, ever, I actually feel like the Knicks have a chance to win it all this year. I haven't felt that way in, I don't know, even in '99. I kind of, once Patrick got hurt, I didn't feel that way anymore. And that year, if Patrick was that we get to that finals and you have Patrick to be able to pull David Robinson away from the basket, maybe things could be a little bit different. But even that team, this team right here, I feel like, yo, man, we got a real chance of doing this. It's always going to come down to health. We got to stay healthy. But I look at the field and I'm like, yo, there's not any of these teams I feel like there's no way we can beat them.
No. The team I would have most concerns about if we had to go against is OKC right now. But shit, they might not make it through today. So
Aaron Gordon being out for the Denver
Looks good for them, but you never know.
Huge blow. But it's a game 7. Anything can happen in a game 7.
And Denver's got a will to win, and they got a
Denver's
championship
been here
DNA.
Before. Exactly. Yeah.
We'll see.
You never know.
We'll see.
You never know. We got you. I mean, it's like you think of who was it that blew out? Who was it that smacked Phoenix in a game 7 when Phoenix was on the rise? They were supposed to be good, and then a team out west, they came out in game 7 and they beat them by friggin' 40. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Suns lose game 7. But as far as the first quarter, I thought one of the big things was Mikal Bridges, him coming out, being aggressive, hunting that mid-range shot. He's getting offensive rebounds and putting up putbacks. And that was the shot where that was one of the worst bricks you'll ever see by Brunson. That was thud in between the glass and the rim, right in that little nexus right there. Brunson's, but you don't have to remember it for long because Bridges is right there to snatch it and put it back in. And that's when you can just see that this team is playing at a different pace. And Bridges had another play where he got his own rebound and then made a layup. He makes that reverse layup, I think, to put us up 4-0 at the time. He was being uber aggressive from the beginning. We need that from Bridges, especially in this next series, because he's going to be getting cross-matched against Halliburton a lot because he's going to be guarding Halliburton. So if Halliburton's guarding him, bust his ass. That dude, make him work and go at him all day. I thought the 10 points in the first quarter to go along with Cat's 11 was huge.
Yeah, Bridges is straight Gumby sometimes, man. That guy, he's just, his limbs are fantastic. He just is all over the place and gangly and shit, but he gets it done.
It was Jalen Brunson and the Mavs who blew out the Suns in that game. 2022, was Jalen Brunson still there at that point, or was he with us? I think so. Bad at 20 times.
Yeah, I think he was with them. I don't know. Was that Kyrie? Kyrie.
No. Luka went crazy. I remember that much. Yeah, Luka went crazy in that game. Luka had 35 points. Brunson had 24 points on 11 of 19 shooting.
You know what I'm saying?
He's been this dude.
That
man.
back broke it. Right. They blew it.
Been this dude.
Who was the GM when they gave up Brunson? Was it Nico?
Oh, I don't know.
When they lost Brunson, I'd love to know that. When they lost Brunson, was Nico the GM at that time? You know.
Yeah.
I think Nico got a mad reprieve though with Cooper Flag. So they're gonna blow up with Cooper Flag.
Hold on.
Cooper Flag.
I know you're not a conspiracy guy, and
it's not a conspiracy.
I'm the biggest conspiracy guy in the world.
Oh, come on.
Come on, man.
They said to them, trade this guy and we'll give you
to the Lakers specifically. To the Lakers. Yo, it's happened before, man. It's happened before.
It's like you are so in search of conspiracies.
Listen, it's happened before as far as the hey, trade this person to, the marquee franchise, and then you get the next. It happened with New Orleans. They got the Zion pick after they traded Anthony Davis to the Lakers.
So wait. You're saying that was a fix too?
I'm saying that when you start to
look at it. So the league is constantly funneling players to the Lakers.
To especially to the Lakers, to the marquee franchises, and also
why have they never funneled players to the Knicks?
Because they don't like James Dolan. They're always hating on us. They're trying to fine us. They're trying to say we got tampering and all this shit because Dolan is always
Dolan's always popping off of a conspiracy.
Dolan's always popping off about the revenue and this and that. They don't like Dolan. They don't like Dolan. That's why the officials suck against the Knicks, because they don't like Dolan.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So now it's all becoming so clear.
The officiating in the Celtics series was absolute dog shit. It's garbage. I thought the officiating was horrible.
If your theories are correct, get ready for some more.
Yeah, but you know what?
The league's against us.
Just got to play through it. Just like when my son's playing against some kids who don't know how to play basketball and they're trying to foul him, I tell them you just got to play through it. So that's what the Knicks got to do as well. And
we all have to do.
And I think that we all have to do. I don't have to do anything. I'm a fan.
Well, our team has to do it. Has to play through
it. Deuce. Yo, man. Deuce, when he hits the three, the tough contested three with Derek White all up in his kitchen. And I mean, he plays about as good defense as you can without fouling or blocking the shot right there. Deuce hits that shot. You could see when I rewatched it, I could see Derek White was like, he kind of just like looked at him and shook his head like, God damn, like oh, you hitting shit like that now, like on some like, oh, okay, damn, we gonna have a tough one. It's gonna be a tough one tonight. And then Deuce has the most iconic play of his short career thus far, and one of the best plays in New York Knicks playoff history, in my opinion, and just a signature play from end to end, a signature sequence where he chases down Derek White after a Knicks turnover. Derek White is going up for the rebound, and Deuce comes from behind him, and LeBron Iguodala pins him on the glass. Josh Hart snatches it, runs back up the floor, makes an and one floater, and the Garden is just in an absolute frenzy at that point. I turned my TV when on the rewatch. I turned my TV up extra loud because I want to hear the pop from the Garden on that one. And like, yo, man, what a play by Deuce. Deuce had a great game overall. He really, really did in these last, few games, and specifically in this and overall in this series, he's really stepped up. I mean, he had a tough series against Detroit, a really tough one, and he's historically played pretty well against Boston. Deuce, we can't go off on. I said in this series, if he outplayed Peyton Pritchard, that the Knicks would win the series. I think overall in the series, he did. And again, you can't always look at the stats. You got to look at what Deuce means to this team defensively and his ability to push pace. And when he is hitting shots, this next series again with Deuce, it's okay. It's you versus TJ McConnell. Who's going to win that matchup? And I think once again, that could lead to who wins the series.
I think Deuce is another example of a guy that a lot of Knicks fans were ready to excommunicate it at certain points. Have been a little negative on, and
a little negative on. In that first series, he was Miles McBride, and I was screaming for DeLon Wright.
Okay. What I'm saying to you is that I'm glad that our coach and coaching staff are willing to stick with the guys that they believe can play the game the way it needs to be played and the way we need it played. It's important. These guys are around these guys. They know that they might be having a tough time, but they're level-headed and they make level-headed decisions to stick with the better players on our team and not go to certain guys with the initials DW.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
there's certain guys that you just have an unabashed, like, just straight, tunnel vision love for, and Deuce is
one of
definitely
them
one
is
of those
Deuce
guys.
McBride. That's right,
Absolutely.
and it's warranted, is it not?
Yeah,
And it's
listen.
deserved.
Nobody, when you suck, I'm gonna say you suck. All right. When Deuce McBride
All
plays the
right,
way that
but
he
what I'm
played,
saying is, yeah, these guys can suck sometimes, but you can't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. You have to trust. You have to trust what you've seen all season and the cumulative, and you can't just make knee-jerk reactions.
well, when
And
you
I
win
think
the
that's what
series
our
in
team
spite of
doesn't
them,
do, and I think that pays off.
when you win the series in spite of them, you can have those types of conversations. But if you lose the series and they suck in that series, then the conversation becomes like, hey, could we have used a little more DeLon Wright in that situation? I don't know, man. He sucked at that first series. He did. This series, he was great. I just
He
hope we get that
did,
same Deuce
but I'm glad we
in this
stuck
next
with him.
series. Yeah, I'm not saying that you bury the guy. I'm not saying you bury the guy. I'm saying that when he's in the midst of a horrible game, maybe that's the time to maybe go somewhere else.
I think your line was, we need to give Deuce's minutes to DeLon Wright.
Yeah. He was bad, man. He was bad in the first series.
That's a bit of a burial. Anyway, we move on. Listen, Deuce played well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, Darlene.
Hey, shout out to
Deuce
Darlene,
well.
always showing love here and on Nic On Knicks. One of our most loyal fans. We appreciate you, Darlene, for sure. Darlene, let us know in the chat. Where are you from? What's your story? How did you become a Knicks, Mets, and Jets fan? I'm pretty sure you're all three. I want to know a little bit more about you. But yeah, Deuce, man, listen, Deuce did his thing. Bridges played great. OG. Mitch, we're not forgetting anybody. Precious got 9.5 minutes. He looked okay. This is the question in this next series. Indiana legitimately runs 10 guys. They got a 10-man rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Do the Knicks need to expand the rotation, get out of that 7-man rotation, and play a little bit more of a Precious, of a Landry Shamet, some more Campaign? Another thing about Campaign, as much as he drives me nuts sometimes, this Indiana series is his type of series.
It's his type of series. He can go do well, but he's just got to rein it in a little bit. Okay.
My thing is get a couple decent shots before you want to to throw up like the 28-footer when Cat is in the midst of busting their ass, and now you just want to go away from him and sling that shit up, and now the whole game changed after that shit.
He's such a hard guy to love sometimes, because when his shot goes in, it's great, but when it doesn't go in, not just his jump shot, but his layups, when they don't go in, they're the worst looking shots you've ever seen. And it looks like the guy's never shot a basketball in his life. When they go in, somehow it looks amazing. So he's a tough guy to really, really root for. But, listen, he's our guy. He's the guy we got, and we're going to have to use him to the best of his ability and to the best of our ability this series.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I was screaming for. I'm saying DeLon Wright way too many times in this podcast, but I was screaming for his minutes over Campaign as well. I was saying
that's right.
Let's get him in there. Let's see what he can do.
That was right before the game, before you were considering buying a Campaign jersey.
Game 1 of the playoffs, when he had 11 points in the fourth quarter and brought the Knicks back against Detroit, I was like, yo, Campaign is the guy. He's the fucking guy.
Jones.
Listen, man, he's a very polarizing player, man. There's sometimes where he just looks like he is, a great pressure cooker off the bench, but I think he's a big key in this series, because I think that we're going to need contribution. I think we need to at least be going 8 deep. I think it's hard to go 7 deep against a team that plays, a legit 10 guys, sometimes 11. And I think that, we need a few. Can Landry Shamet give us a little something? Can he give us a little something? Because that's the thing. If you can get a little something, if you can get like 2 different games from Landry Shamet where he scores like 10.
Oh yeah, it'd be nice.
Goes like 3 for 5 from 3. Hits a
right now is when actually I need like the button to press, like the siren button, like to just press like the alarm button, because I have an idea that there's Darlene telling her, she's like me. I'm 72, she's 73 when I really started rooting for the Knicks.
Okay. She's a Mets fan, Giants fan.
That's too bad, but okay. Giants fan, we'll allow that.
Yeah.
And she's from Harlem. I spent a lot of time in Harlem as a child, Darlene, right across the street. My dad lived right across the street from Harlem Hospital on Lenox, I believe it was. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time up there as a kid. right by Core National Headquarters. But anyway, so yeah, I think your next podcast, it has to be your alter ego has to be Hot Take Jones, because and you can just come up with the wild hot takes you come up with that are outlandish and end up usually falling flat on their face in short order. But they're outlandish and they're wild.
No. See, that's not
Hot
fair.
Take
That's not a
Jones.
fair
Hot Take
characterization.
Jones.
I'm
Come
not
with a
Hot
good
Take Jones.
icon.
I'm just
That's
me.
you.
I'm just me, and
Yeah, okay.
I occasionally can be somewhat prone to hyperbole, and you know, when I see things, I get emotional, especially when it has to do with these teams. And there's times where I come out with hot takes that don't end up, being the best, but I always own up to them. And I always listen. I give the praise when it's deserved. I give the criticism when it's deserved. As I've said many times to people in my personal life, I'm as effusive with my praise as I am with my criticisms. And you know me, I will sit here and be like, yo, Tibbs, I love Tibbs, he's the best. There's been a couple times this season where I've questioned whether or not we need to move on from Tibbs. Obviously Tibbs is going absolutely nowhere.
I think there have been times when you said fire Tibbs.
Yeah, there has been. There has been. And you know what? When it comes down to at this point is Tibbs is not going anywhere. We've gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals. But you know what? I've always added to whatever I say about Tibbs. I've seen this guy evolve over time, and I'm hoping that he continues to evolve. And what we've seen in this playoffs is a bit of an evolution. He's been
if he loses badly in this next series, Nick, the screams are going to be just as loud to get rid of him.
Oh, if we lost in 5, some shit like that. Listen, we're the favorite now, man. Like, yo, yeah, you gotta take care of business. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, if we lost in 5 or 4, some shit like that, and then yeah, I do think that would be the case. I do think people would be saying that as well. I mean, I would have to see. To me, it's not just about always the results. It's about what I see. And even when the Knicks have been winning at certain times, I have said that I've had my criticisms with Tibbs. The one thing that I didn't love about Game 6 is with 4 minutes to go and the Knicks up 30+, all the starters are still in. Again, that's something
about 4.5.
4.5, yeah. And that's something that we got to. I wish Tibbs would make that evolution. He would get better on that.
Yeah, he's growing.
Darlene says her mom worked at Heartland Hospital. All types of connections here with the he did this to me fan base. But yeah, man, listen, this Knicks team, we got a real chance to do something special. Okay. We got a chance to get to the NBA Finals. And once you get to the dance, anything can happen. We have the team, we have the coach, we have the personnel, we have home court advantage in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now it's just time to get it done. We got a couple days to enjoy this, but as the late great Kobe Bean Bryant always said, job's not finished. So these guys got to come out there and they got to get it done. That picture of the Knicks in that post game where they're all just sitting there, they're all very stoic. They're all saying the right things, giving respect to their opponents, giving respect to their future opponents, and they just seem very, very locked in. They were out that night at the club with Timothy Chalamet and Russell Wilson, but they were turning down all champagne as they were just continuing to stay locked in. And Wednesday, man, you can't get here soon enough. And we got a real chance, man, to do something. Personally, I think that the biggest keys to this series, Cat, no stupid fouls. Cat, stay out of the early foul trouble on some dumb shit. That Game 5, he was playing actually pretty well at the beginning of that game. In the second quarter, he picked up 2 of the stupidest fouls I've ever seen. I continue to say that he gets the most unfair whistle of anybody in the NBA, but you can tell that's something else that this entire team put an emphasis on was, hey, we're not going to get into it with the refs, specifically UCAT in Game 6. There was one point where he got fouled, and he did get fouled, and they didn't call it, and he was going to the ref, and I saw Brunson go and just snatch him and pull him away. It was a dead ball. It wasn't like we had to get back up the court, but he was just on some all right, we're not doing that. Let's go. And I loved how on that very first play of the game, Cat went straight to the rim. He made a tough, fadeaway shot, but it was a shot going towards the rim. And he, wasn't flailing and trying to get a foul call or anything like that. He just put it up off the glass and got the bucket. And he has to do things like that early and often, get that three going a little bit more than it did in this last season. I don't think Indiana is going to be as good at taking that three ball away from him. And if he can stay away from the stupid fouls, I think he has a huge series. And, we're going to need a little bit from the bench. We're going to need a little bit from the bench when it comes to Deuce, when it comes to Mitch, when it comes to also when it comes to maybe a little bit of Landry Shamet, a little bit of campaign. Like we're going to need a game or two from them where, like, they really play well and match Indiana's bench. And I think if we can do those things, Knicks in 5.
I like Knicks in 6. I think there's going to be at least a couple games where we're very frustrated with our play and with the teams, with just how we're letting the other team get off. But I think I like us in 6. It's not going to be any easy series, man. I mean, I think it could go 7. It could. And listen, if we don't play up to snuff, these guys can beat us. I mean, we know that. So we have to come out there. We have to come out there with the right mindset. We have to come out there with the correct energy. These guys are very energetic and very fast up and down the court. If we come out there slacking for any period of time, they'll put a 10, 12 point run on you in very short order. We got to come out there and be correct. Hey, we're gonna see, man. We're gonna fight tooth and nail, but I think ultimately we come out with the win.
Yeah, appreciate everybody checking us out over on YouTube and on Twitter. Take a second, hit that like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow, turn on the notifications so you know when we're going live. This is a special Sunday early edition of He Did This to Me. Typically, we go live on, week nights, typically around the middle of the week, Wednesday or Thursday, but schedules permitting, this is where we're at here. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of like the spot, honestly. It's kind of nice. And, I'm glad that we get to talk after the Knicks advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. And, we'll be back next week talking about game 1, probably on Thursday of this week. Let's switch over to some Mets talk. The Mets and the Yankees are currently tied 1-1 in the Subway Series, with the rubber match coming later this afternoon or tonight if you're on the East Coast. Mets won last night 3-2 after dropping the opener 6-2. Mets got some really good pitching contributions yesterday. Griffin Canning had a good night on the mound, and the Mets were able to score on a Francisco Lindor sac fly in the top of the 9th. And then in the bottom of the 9th, Edwin Diaz, sugar came out, looked electric, owns Aaron Judge, owns him. Just straight blew this guy away with the fastball at the top of the zone. Aaron Judge,
think that's a ball, that last one. If he doesn't swing at that,
a little high, right? A little high,
but he couldn't lay off.
Couldn't lay off. But also, though, listen, that was a little high on that little box that they put on the thing. That box isn't always super accurate. And also, Aaron Judge is mad tall, too. So his strike zone's a little high. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That was close. It would have been close. And it was rising, too. So, does it clip the zone? Rising. It was just, that was just one of those. And I think Ronnie said it on the broadcast. He said, you got all these different analytics and all these different things. And sometimes it's like, I'm going to throw the ball as hard as I can. Let's see if you can hit it. And I thought that's exactly what that was. Sugar, I think, after having a couple scuffles early in the season, has looked more like himself recently. And obviously, that's going to be something very important to the Mets moving forward. The Mets continue to lead the division. They continue to be one of the few best teams in baseball, despite not being able to hit the ball with runners in scoring position at a very good clip. The pitching staff has been fantastic, even though Tyler McGill has scuffled here a little bit recently in these last 3 starts. But hey, we got a chance to take the series against the Yankees, and then after that we head to Boston to play the Red Sox. And how nice that would be to go up there and sweep them after we just eliminated them from the playoffs on the hardwood. But the Mets, man, that they continue to get it done. The offensive output is still not really gotten going, just kind of like Juan Soto has still not really gotten going, but they continue to figure out a way to win series and win ball games. How are you feeling currently right now about the Mets, big guy?
I'm feeling good. Obviously, there would be no reason not to be. Like you said, we're not hitting at all cylinders yet. So when we do start hitting at all cylinders, and we will, I think I'm going to feel even better about it. Listen, you want Soto to come around. Even Lindor has cooled off a little bit, very little bit. Pete's still doing his thing, and Pete's the man. By the way, did you see what Pete came out with about Twitter?
No.
You didn't see that? Okay, yeah. Pete's not a Twitter fan. He's signing off of Twitter, and he's encouraging all others to do so because the owner, the owner of Twitter, had some very derogatory things to say about the Mets fans. And about the Mets.
Elon Musk said something about the Mets?
He did.
What? How did I miss this?
Yeah, no bueno, not good stuff. And many other Met fans are applauding Pete in his feelings because it was just and Lindor agreed with Pete. A lot of other Mets are with Pete on the things he said because it was just unnecessary statements by Musk. But I think the Mets are playing well. I think we need to keep it up. I think it's a very long season. We just got to hope that the Mets can, keep doing what they have to do, So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm seeing that at one point, I guess Elon Musk tried to buy the Mets.
I don't even know about that. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
I'm not seeing anything about Elon Musk talking about the Mets.
Just you'll do your research and see what Pete said about X or Twitter, and he's just saying there's a lot of garbage on that website, including the owner or whatever. And yeah, he just said something about you can't buy class or something like that, or championships or something. Just ask Met fans or something like that. Some shit. He said something really derogatory and just nasty towards Met fans for no good reason. And Pete was like, I think that was something shitty to say, and I don't think it's just about saying it because he said it about Met fans, although that bothers me personally. He's like, why would you try to degrade an entire fan base like that for what purpose? For your own personal gain? It's a shitty thing to do, but I'm not surprised. And Pete said what he said, and I stand with Pete. Anyway,
yeah, no doubt. Listen, Pete Alonso is the second best hitter in the world after Aaron Judge this season. He's been fantastic. Judge is hitting over 400. I mean, it's crazy what he's doing. He's having a historic season, but
not against the Mets.
Not against the Mets. And Pete did have an RBI yesterday too. So
That's right.
Pete's contributing. And if we could just figure out a way to get Juan Soto going and just, for this entire team to get a few more of these clutch hits. And I tend to believe that the offense is going to come around. And, if the pitching can continue, and even though you're going to have some injuries, you're going to have some guys like, go through stretches like McGill is going right now, but you also have, Manaea and Blackburn, pretty close.
What's the timetable on Manaea?
I've heard that he's throwing. I don't think that they've actually given him an actual timetable yet.
He's throwing.
Yeah, he's but I just think that at the end of the day, if you're a Mets fan, if you were told that, right now we'd be sitting in first place and, we'd have the best starters ERA in baseball, you'd be pretty cool with that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Senga's been amazing.
Senga's been fantastic. He needs to get a little bit long. He needs to go a little bit longer in games, but I mean, no, he's pitched well. The thing about Senga is sometimes we lose sight of the fact that, he's been fantastic since he's been in the bigs.
Right. He missed the entire year, but otherwise he's been great.
He's been great, man. He's really
Nick, he's one of the best Asian pitchers to come into the league in the last few years, Nick. Quiet as kept. A lot of guys have come in, but not many have had his success.
Yeah.
What about this guy Yamamoto?
No, well, he's this year, Dad. He's probably the Cy Young favorite at the moment. Yeah. He's been fantastic.
What about last year? What was his numbers like?
No, last year he wasn't that good. Last year he wasn't that great, and he definitely wasn't that great in the playoffs. After making it through Thursday afternoon's bullpen session, okay, so he is throwing off of a mound. The Southpaw is expected to throw another one later this weekend in the Bronx, and then the team will mix in some up and downs before he faces live hitters. So that's the update on Shamania. Yep, and then Frankie Montas, if everything goes well, the right-hander is expected to throw another bullpen session on Tuesday with the Cyclones. The team will go from there and see if he's ready to begin a minor league rehab assignment. So sounds like Frankie Montas is pretty close as well. So would love. It's going to be interesting if all these guys stay healthy. It's going to be interesting exactly what we do with our starting lineup, our starting rotation. Well, somebody's going to have to move.
Well, we can move some of these guys back into the long relief, man. How much better could that make our bullpen possibly?
Yeah, you can only have so many long relievers though, Dad. I mean, at the end of
Right.
the day, like you have only
Right.
so many
Numbers
roster
game.
spots. So like, yeah, like it's gonna be
Well,
interesting.
then, some guys like Stanek may get bounced or
Stanik's not going anywhere.
not
That's
Stanek. I'm not Stanek. I'm thinking about somebody else who's been disappointing.
Kranick, maybe.
Kranick? No, I thought Kranick had been doing
Kranick has
pretty
pitched
good.
well. I don't know. I just thought maybe it sounded like that. So that's where you. That's where
Yeah,
you
I
him.
know. I
No,
don't know.
listen.
Some bullpen arm has been disappointing.
Our bullpen's been pretty damn good, man. Huascar, I think the Mets pitching staff has been excellent. That's clear. And Acuna needs to play every day. I need Acuna playing, or at least 5 out of 6 days. I need Acuna. Okay. Beatty goes down.
Beatty looks great.
Your boy Winker gets hurt. Beatty comes back. Beatty's looking pretty good. Beatty's he's a better defensive third baseman than Vientos is. Vientos might be looking at playing some more DH, man, especially with Winker.
And Winker, when's Winker going to be back? Because if Winker came back like right now, you wouldn't put him in.
6 to 8 weeks. It's
right.
like 6 to 8 weeks. He's out for a while.
I mean, that's almost good. I mean, frankly, because he couldn't be playing instead of Beatty or Vientos right now.
And he clearly can't. He clearly has to be a DH, and only DH, because the one time he was asked to throw a ball, he missed 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So he's a DH, moving forward. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And then, you got Marte getting some DH, but that's the thing, man. Marte hasn't really been, doing too much with the bat this year, and it's looking more and more. If Beatty's going to be hitting the way that he has just since he's been back up this last time, then Vientos has to be the DH, because you want Beatty in the lineup, you want Acuna in the lineup, and you want Vientos in the lineup. So that's the only way that works.
This is absolutely the Marte swan song this season.
Yeah. I mean, it was very well, it was very well reported that we tried to get rid of him this offseason and nobody would take him because he's making too much money.
No.
Even with us trying to
plays
take
this year, and next year he's like a minor league instructor.
I think he can still play in the bigs. I just don't know if it's going to be for the Mets, and definitely not at $19 million per, which is what he's getting paid currently. But yeah, man, hey, good time to the Mets. Go out there, get this series win against the Yankees tonight, and go on to Boston and keep doing your thing. It's been they've been winning series, like I said. They're the only team in the MLB that has not lost 3 games in a row.
Yeah, very impressive. I love that.
Love that. Absolutely. Couple Jets notes real quick. How do you feel about a Jamal Adams reunion?
No.
When I read that, I was like, fuck no. What?
Why do we need him? I think Aaron Glenn sees that and laughs. I mean, Aaron Glenn, you don't know. Just know. Aaron Glenn is probably like, yeah, right. What do I need that guy for? And if things possibly go wrong, that guy, it's like having an M80 in your room with a short fuse. Why do I want that guy around? No, get him out. No way.
And what do I need with like an aging safety who can't cover, who is, and also will try to make the big hit and totally miss a tackle sometimes? I mean, if anything, Jamal Adams,
or make a big hit, get concussed, and won't be seen again.
Right. He's not playing 17 games. We know that's not
zero chance.
No, 0 chance. Yeah, I know that he says he might want a reunion. I do not think that the Jets should or do have any interest.
Dude, if you want a reunion, you need to go back to high school, bro. Okay, sorry.
Yo, so I saw this report from Rich Cimini talking about Jets rookie camp, talking about how it's much different this year and how intense it is. And he made the point that, it wasn't just the undrafted free agents that were participating, but also the actual draft picks, which is a difference from recent years when Robert Saleh would not really have the draft picks participating in live drills because he feared injury. That shit blew my mind when I heard it. These guys are coming to the NFL. They're rookies. I get it. You want to try to keep them hurt. Their investments, blah, blah, blah. If they're going to get hurt in shorts and a t-shirt and a helmet, and after they just been working out for the combine and all this shit, you think that they're going to be good for mini camp, go up through training camp and a season if they can't make it through this? And you don't think that these players who are coming into the NFL brand new, coming to this organization brand new, they don't need this practice time and these reps? I mean, Saleh, you know, he seems like a good rah-rah guy, coaches first and all that shit, but it seems like more and more he was not willing to challenge these men. He was not willing to hold them to a certain account that they need to be a disciplined, well-oiled football team. And Aaron Glenn, we know one thing he's going to bring is he's going to be in your face. He's going to be, I saw a great quote that said he's giving the proper amount of like nurturing and also intensity and being in your face, where it's like, you know, he cares, but at the same time, you know that he has a standard that you have to step up to. And it's seeming like more and more Salah was just not that guy.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear things like this, that's disappointing. Obviously, if that's the case, you know me, Nick. I'm very old school when it comes to football, and I'm a firm believer in that. You got to get out there and you got to play the game to be able to play the game. You have to callous against the game, and little things like practicing hard, and that says to me more that kind of like Camp Sala and Sala training camp was probably more heavy on the Pilates as opposed to doing up downs and shit like that. And I remember playing football, Nick, where you didn't have to. Like I read a lot of people now where they say, "Oh, it's raining outside," so they brought practice inside. I can remember playing football, Nick, where they purposely, when it was raining, we practiced outside because when we could have practiced inside, because you got to get used to playing and shit like that. They had us doing up downs and push ups and shit in full uniform, in the rain, in the mud, because guess what? You might have to play in that shit, and if you have to play in it, you have to be okay with it, So I like the standard of constantly pushing the limit on it being how hard we can practice and how difficult you can make practice, because if practices, and this goes in almost any sport, right? Especially in basketball and football, if the practices are harder than the game, you're ahead of the game, and that's just the reality. And that's especially the reality in football, because if your practices are harder than the game, guess what? When you get out there in the game, you're going to see the difference and you're going to dominate,
right?
So I don't really understand this, especially when your mantra is all gas, no brakes. Okay, what are we talking about here? Well, I just thought of that, and that's just maddening right now. Because I was going to say, how could you just ease off the gas? And then I thought of that. I mean, what are we talking
about? It's bad news, man. It's bad news. You can't nobody tell me why these guys. You were Mr. Salah, but can't nobody tell me why these guys are sitting out and watching this as opposed to participating when you just drafted them. Like, I mean, we're trying to, ingratiate them into the which clearly there's not. It's not. And I just, come on, man. You hear shit like that, and it's like, yo, we got to be better. And the thing is part of it is that as Darlene says, players are too soft these days, and there is some of that where it's like, okay, well, we you don't want to get known as like the one that puts them through all these like really tough practices and stuff like that. But who's always notoriously has really tough training camps? Andy Reid. And when it comes to that team, they got a lot of stars, and you got to get your stars to embrace it. But clearly that team has been the closest thing to a dynasty since the Patriots, and is always in the mix every single year. If they're not winning the Super Bowl, they're at least in it, or damn sure get into the conference championship game. And so I don't want to hear any of this like, oh, it's a new era and all that. There is still a place for a taskmaster who comes out here and holds these guys to a certain standard. Salah was not that guy.
We hope in the game of football, that's an absolute necessity, Nick. I mean, it just is, man. Football is a hard sport and played by hard individuals who can friggin' take it, and really friggin' go against it. Okay, pause.
All the pause.
No, you're right. Multiple pause. No, but these guys have to be able to, do what it takes in a game of football to be able to dominate. And, listen, it's a sport of dominating other men and moving people to places where they don't want to be moved. That's just the way it is, and you're not going to do that without practicing doing that. That's the way football is played.
What'd you think of the flagrant foul that Caitlin Clark committed against Angel Reese yesterday? Angel Reese is going up for a layup. Caitlin Clark does not want to give up a free two. She then fouls Angel Reese. Angel Reese gets very upset and is, screaming at her and saying, "Who do you think you are?" And fuck, blah blah blah, whatever she said. What'd you think of that? I saw that. I saw the clip yesterday. I know you're like our senior women's basketball correspondent. So what did you?
I
think
happened to
of
be
that
watching the game at the time. I was watching the game at the time, and in real time, I thought, "What is the issue?" I mean, come on, man, stop it already. Especially if okay. First of all, women in women's basketball foul each other very hard, quite often. Sometimes harder than men's basketball. So I'm not even going to say if you want to be treated like men, because that's silly. Women in women's basketball, the fouling is significant. Okay, that there was nothing wrong with that foul. Angel Reese overreacted, and she overreacted, in my opinion, because it was Caitlin Clark fouling. I don't think this. I don't know. Anyone could say that's not the case, but I think that seems to be the case. And I didn't think it was that hard a foul. And I think if Angel Reese did the same thing against Caitlin Clark, it would have been called a foul, and maybe called a flagrant foul. I didn't even think it should have been a flagrant foul. Frankly, it was a good hard foul. Now in the playoffs, they better not call that a flagrant foul. When they get to the playoffs, that needs to just be a foul. But
it was a common foul.
I thought it was a common foul. And Angel Reese, calm down. Nobody got hurt. What are you doing? She doesn't want you to get the shot off. What would you like her to do?
She didn't hit you in the guard. She didn't hit you in the face. She didn't push you in the lower back when you were in the air because you only jumped as high off the ground anyway. But he just came down and raked across her arms. That's a good, hey, I don't want to give up a layup or an and one. The most egregious thing there is possibly the fact that she didn't want to let Angel Reese go ahead and shoot the layup because she most likely would have missed it. But yeah, I saw when
most egregious thing was Angel Reese's reaction.
Yeah.
Sorry about
it was. And anything that happens between these two players, if you dig into the comment section, it's a cesspool because it's immediately like it's everybody's races being involved, and if this person, and it's like, yo, they're just two basketball players. It was just a foul, yo. Like, it's not that serious.
Not that serious. It's not that big a deal. It's not it's not the end all be all of race relations in this country. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's just it was a foul.
It was a foul. That's it. Caleb Williams. So his dad was interviewed for a book about quarterbacks. He, in that book, spoke about the fact that they wanted to avoid Caleb getting drafted by the Bears, which is where quarterbacks go to die. Caleb Williams has also been quoted as saying that when he got to the Bears, he was, given film, but nobody went over it with him. What did you think about this story? The fact that it's even a story, and if you were, let's say you were the father of a player who was a potential number one pick, would you get out there and actively try to control where your son ends up? Is that something that you would be concerned with or even try to influence, or is that something you would just sit back and say, hey, however it works out, that's where it works out?
All right. So just be prepared that if this or any of your other podcast endeavors works out big time, I'm giving mad interviews. No, you know me, Nick. Because I want my shine. I think it's incredibly selfish and childish. Maybe there's more to it that I don't know. That's my disclaimer, right? But of all these parents who try to inject themselves, I don't even understand why he's giving an interview to anyone about anything. If he did, in fact, try to influence where his son went, which I don't know that I would do that either. But if you felt like you had the power, like an Archie Manning type of situation, would you do that? Yeah, maybe I would if I thought I could help for my child's situation. And clearly it was helpful for his son to come to the Giants. It worked out really well. I mean, come on, you can't fault that. And then, like Elway to go to the Broncos instead of, I don't know, wherever he was going to get drafted. I don't flipping know. But if you can influence something for your son, great. But what I didn't see is Archie Manning looking to interview on that. But then again, it was a different time, right? Or Jack Elway, for John Elway and all that. It was a different time. But dude, man, you just lay in the cut, man. Stay in your lane. You did good for your son, or you tried to do something for your son. You don't need to publicly squawk about it. because there's no upside to it. I mean, unless you think that this is somehow going to catapult you into becoming a talking head or something like that, because that is in my opinion, that could be the only of your wildest dreams that what this could turn into, because there really is no other thing that this could possibly turn into. What are you going to become, a reality TV star? You're going to be on Naked and Afraid on some fucking island? What are you doing? What are you doing? Seriously, where's this going? It's not going anywhere. I don't get it.
I don't get it. Like truthfully, like, why give this interview? Why? Okay, like you said, if you did try to do that, I mean, there was, they were talking about playing in the UFL for a year and then joining the NFL as a free agent. I do get, now one thing I do get is sometimes, when players, and, I guess Caleb's dad, they make the point of like the fact that you get so little choice on your end, when it's like anywhere else, you get to choose where you go, like what company you work for. You know what I'm saying? Whereas these guys just get drafted and then it's just like, all right, well, now we got you on lock for a few years. We can give you a new offensive coordinator every single year and never give you a line and fuck up your whole career. We've seen that happen to many players, quarterbacks specifically in the NFL. So I do kind of get that point. I get that. All of that. Couple years, a year later, now deciding to do an interview for this book and talk about, your mindset throughout that entire thing. And, Caleb's experience as far as, getting the playbook and getting tape, but then not having anybody go over it with him. I just think that what good does that do you? You're going to be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears at the beginning of this season. You're not like trying to like get out or something like that, right? So how does this possibly help with the fan base, with the locker room, with the organization, with Caleb, just his own mental bandwidth? I just don't get it, man. I don't get it.
If I'm a car dealership and I was thinking about using Caleb as my guy, as my ad guy, do I have a slight second thoughts now, maybe, after his dad just said this? Yeah, I do. I mean, there's no upside to this at all, Nick. Zero.
Doesn't make any sense. What do you think about the nobody went over tape with him? Is that something to?
That's incredible. If that's true, that's an incredible indictment, Nick. Look. I heard somebody talking about this, right? Chris Canty, as a matter of fact, our guy Chris Canty. He made a good point that he played for Al Groh in college, so he knew how to watch tape as a pro. He said, Nick, how you watch tape as a college player and in many different programs as opposed to as a pro, it's going to be very different. He said, especially for a quarterback, they should be sitting down with you saying, this is what we want you to look at. This is what we concentrate on, because different people concentrate on different things. But them just giving you a tape and saying, here you go, and leaving you alone in a room, that's insane. That's insane.
For anytime a rookie, number one overall pick,
I don't know. I've been in very, very few film sessions as a player. There's a coach in there watching it with you, pointing things out.
Some people point out the fact that, like, he definitely, when he watches tape with like his position group, there's probably a coach involved in those other players.
They're watching it all together.
But no, you gotta listen. If I'm the head coach or I'm the offensive coordinator, one of those two people, if you're the head coach and you're an offensive guy, or if you're the offensive coordinator, or maybe both, we're going to spend
quarterback's
some time.
Coach.
We're going to be sent, but I need to even go higher than that, Dad. And we're going to be spending some time sitting down with our number one overall draft pick, quarterback, future of the franchise. And we're going to be sitting down and looking at and breaking down some tape together. And I'm going to be making sure that I am teaching the game in the way that I want to. And he is learning the game in the way that I think is proper.
Wait, and this is even more, Nick. In today's technology sphere, we can be doing this with you at home and with me at home, and not, we don't have to come into the facility together, sit together. Right. We do this both at home. And I mean, especially, Nick, after games 2, 3, 4, 5, when things aren't going so well, how are we not doing this now? That's crazy. That's crazy.
You would think that Ben Johnson would be a little bit more attention to
A
detail. He's
lot
one of
more.
the best, offensive minds in the game, they say. He is taking over as a new head coach. And obviously, he knows that the key to his career is going to be whether or not he makes this kid a star or not. And so, hopefully that gets righted if that actually is the case. When I read that, I was like, that's kind of crazy if that's true. But, I just think
We'll
that his
see.
pops needs to, like you said, play your position, man. There's no need for you to be out here making your son's life harder, because at the end of the day, that's what he's doing. He made
Yep.
those comments made his son his perception worse and his overall just life a little bit more difficult. And whether he's the type that's like, oh, I don't care, I don't think about these things, I don't know what people are saying, blah blah blah, he's going to be asked about it by the media, his teammates, possibly his coaches, possibly somebody with up in his organization. And it's just why not? We don't need that. We just don't. We like if I was his son, as a family, I'd be like, yo, Dad, we don't need that right now. We don't need that.
Not at all.
Catch us every week wherever you find your podcast. Please follow, like, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification button on all platforms. If you're over on Twitter right now, hop over to YouTube and hit that subscribe. We really appreciate all the love. You can find us on all socials at Nic On Knicks. That's N-I-C on Knicks. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid.